Odysseus-The Epic Myth of the Hero, Book 18. Laertes took my gifts and welcomed me to manhood then, and bid me sail across the western sea to Sicily, with clear instructions for his trading agents there, among the baby-sacrificing Carthaginians. In everything, I then became Laertes' right-hand man, and made no less than 10 long voyages to the west. I sharpened my skill shooting fish and seabirds until I was preeminent among Achaeans with the bow, and learned the secret lore of poisoning the barbs. It was in battle with Etruscan pirates off the coast of northern Sicily where I made my virgin kill, an arrow in the heart of one unwelcome boarder who fell into the swallowing salt sea. Now I could complete the crews of 2 large ships with all the men I've killed in wave and war. Yet only one returns to haunt me now, the one of whom I hate to think. I'll face you yet, Palamedes, before this night has done with me. Now news poured out of Peloponnesos. Thyestes met an evil doom, and Agamemnon was king of rich Mycenae. After Agamemnon conquered mountainous Arcadia, the last free land in Peloponnesos, he summoned old Laertes to a council down in Sparta where his father-in-law Tyndareus was king. Laertes called me to his vineyard where he spoke these words: "I am too old to ever leave sweet Ithaca again. The outside world is nothing but a bother to me now. I'm more concerned how green things grow right at my fingertips than kings at war for gold in distant lands. You go now in my stead. This Agamemnon is a king of your commanding generation. Learn him well, my son, my heir. Learn how to serve this king without a loss of self." This said, I sailed for Sparta, rowing hard, past Point Taenarus, then an easy run to shore with trailing winds, landing where the river Eurotas meets the sea. We eased upstream just past the bend and came to cliffs the Spartans call the Ducks. Along the broken rim stood lines of citizens and soldiers who watched their king condemn his eldest daughter. Icarius beckoned to the edge by sword point and spoke these words: "Arnea, my eldest girl, I knew the instant when I made you with your mother Paraboia, yet the love I feel for you is not returned in equal measures back to me by one I have the right to place demands upon. Your marriage is business of my estate. The man you wed I choose, or you can die." This said, true Arnea backed up to the edge and spoke her spirit: "Father dear, you are the last unkind old man I'll ever see. You claim my heart is yours to give in love? I'll fly instead, and trade your long sad choice for one last free regard of fleeting life." And as you fell, Arnea, sweeping backwards, I reached my arms to catch you far away. Already I knew that if you died, my life from that day on would be in vain. And then the air beneath you came alive in feathers. Ducks, glinting sunlight, softened your fall midair like God's dear hand, and bore you gently to the waters right before the plow of my black ship. I reached my hand to help you step on board, your long, blonde, curly hair completely dry. A miracle. And everything, the only thing I knew I'd ever want until my heart ran out, was you, Arnea. I took you by your hand and called up to your father. "Now, cruel king, cruel father, you've gone and lost the treasure of your house. You'll win no fame for this. She has survived your sentence by the will of Zeus. I say that none may cause her any further harm without provoking his almighty wrath. I swear to all in range to hear my voice, this woman is a gracious prodigy. She needs a home and a throne to sit upon." This said, and stunned, Icarius answered, "I know the conquering force of Zeus before my very eyes. No further harm shall come to her. But hear me, stranger, are you noble as you seem, or are you a pirate here to raid us in our sleep? At any rate, be sure to know, Arneia still is daughter to Icarius. She shall never be wed until she bend her will to mine. I turned to look Arneia eye to eye, never bend to him, if you would be my wife. I'll find or steal a way to win your love. Arneia smiled like flowers opening at dawn and spoke these promising words. Let every step we take from here be ones that draw us closer. I faced her father once again. I am Odysseus, the son of brave Laertes, king of Ithaca. I give you back your daughter, knowing Zeus is feared by all. And now Icarius spoke mocking words. Yes, bring this girl of mine to me, defiant ingrate that she is, and saved by God-sent ducks from justice falling on her. Ha! We'll call her something different now. Why not Penelope, in honor of her saving fowl? Your girl looked straight into your eye and said, a king will call his daughter what he wishes, and dutiful to your oath, I'll bear this silly name. And from that instant, every step I've taken here in life has been to be close back at home with you, Arneia. That name is now an ancient secret that we share between us. I only call you by it on a sudden in our bed, the one I carved from living wood, the olive tree that grows up through our bedroom floor in Ithaca. There lies all the immortality that I crave and all the beauty I can understand. I went to Sparta to convey Laertes' greeting to Tyndareus and his mighty guest, King Agamemnon. But when I passed the gate, I found the city full of warlike vigor. Helen, long lost, daughter to Tyndareus, had been discovered kept as prisoner by King Theseus of Athens. So it was Minotaur slaying Theseus who stole the girl some year back. Now her brothers Castor and the godlike Polydeuces meant to win her freedom and called the Spartan army to assemble. I've only fought 2 wars in my life, and both were for the sake of Helen. I rode beside her brothers into Athens, leading spearmen by 10,000s, massing right before the white Acropolis of Theseus, who freed his people from the Cretans. Sullen priests of bright Athena then announced that Theseus the king was nowhere to be found within his walls. They further claimed he then plumbed hell upon a quest of grand audacity and did not know if he'd return or when. Athenians did not want to fight to keep the beauty Helen with their king not there to lead them, so their priests surrendered her to Castor and godlike Polydeuces, her mighty brothers, without so much as raising one small voice of protest. Now Helen showed herself before the Spartan army on the bastion dedicated to victorious winged Nike, looking west, imperishably beautiful, almost impossible in flesh. She thanked the gods there was no bloodshed, the valiant fighters of her homeland, and taking the veil, declared herself still virgin, and descended. Men looked at her as if life would never run short of luck to have her. She rode beside her brothers homeward at the head of all the Spartan spearmen, while an ancient bard, the blind Demodocus, sang the wonder of her birth while picking a tortoiseshell kithara. Life is made of God himself in loving measures. Zeus, all-father, is the final proof. Each living creature is a cousin of one family. Each hoof, each wing, each fin, each singing heart, all look to Zeus as primal sire and king. Now Rhea's hidden baby had a yen for inescapable Adrastia, and measuring goddess who gives to men as needed happiness and sorrow. She fled the love of Zeus and leapt into a stream, becoming then a fish. He chased her as a cutting otter, pushing waves before him. Adrastia washed ashore and changed into a deer. Into the underbrush all-father Zeus pursued her as a lion. And from a mountain peak she threw herself and took to wing as white-faced goose. He closed their distance as a swan right behind her and took her to earth at Rhamnus, high in Attica. She laid a golden egg which held the mighty children of King Zeus, the boxer Polydeuces, and the beauty Helen. Thereafter Adrastia went by the name of Nemesis. And Zeus picked up the egg and searched the world to find a noble woman with a double womb. Now Leda bathed beside the river Eurotas. She was the wife of King Tyndareus of Sparta. Still a swan, prolific Zeus deposited the golden egg inside her, bidding her lay that night with King Tyndareus. She swore that she would bear a set of twins in each of her two wombs, by him the godlike Polydeuces and Helen, by King Tyndareus the charioteer Olympian Castor, and wife-to-be of Agamemnon, Clytemnestra. The strands of God run deep in mortal man, and in the stars, and every blade of grass. The army marched to Sparta home in triumph, and all along the way, the news of Helen's beauty greeted us before we could arrive. Tyndareus received his missing daughter and announced that it was time for her to wed a prince of sea-girt bold Achaea in the spring. It was for Helen then to make her choice. The suitors gathered from each land, Achaean men command. Each wanted Helen and half of Sparta's crown, but most of all to be the envy of their fellow man. From Argos rode the king Diomedes, fresh from his conquest of the city Thebes. From Crete sailed Idomeneus, king of 90 cities. From Salamis came giant Ajax. From rich Mycenae, Agamemnon's brother Menelaos arrived with 700 spearmen. King Tyndareus made every prince who came to woo the beauty Helen, his guest friend of his house, and bound each to his sway with oaths and gifts. But such a hunt for beauty and sheer power could never stay peaceful very long among such men. And one wine-flowing feast, the suitors passed the lyre from hand to hand and sang love songs to Helen. Dark Palamedes sang, "I thought I'd done my grieving, but I find only tears can wash your face from my mind." He plucked the final note and passed the lyre to wooden-eared Diomedes, who in a drunken rage took up the lyre and smashed it on a table. A shard of tortoiseshell flew off and cut the cheek of Dark Palamedes. This half-Achaean prince now grabbed a knife, and only all the efforts of the kings assembled could prise the two apart. And in the darkest moment when I worried love would lead to war, the goddess bright Athena sent a plan to me that seemed to be the answer to all prayers. I sought out King Tyndareus, the earthly father of the beauty Helen, and spoke these words: "Your daughter must be married soon, or else the kings of bold Achaea will begin to mass their troops and tear the land apart. No king can come off second best, or else some wagging tongue will say he lacks the favor of the gods. And who can rule without a god's sanction? Therefore, if I have a way to settle Helen safely with a husband, will you help me wed Arnea, daughter of your brother King Icarius, who holds her like she was a criminal?" Tyndareus agreed to back my fateful plan. I called the suitors to assemble with dawn and spoke these binding words: "You kings of bold Achaea, hopeful suitors of the beauty Helen, never let the thought slip through your minds that you have been selected by the gods to be the shepherds of your people. Quarrels among kings set armies marching, and the blood of patriotic fighters flowing. Let us spare our men this burden, warring for the sake of Helen. Take this oath with me. Swear to stand united for the choice of husband that she makes. Let wisdom rule your hearts and spare the common man. Achaea must unite behind the marriage of this woman, or our world will topple. Swear to back the lucky man with all your might. defend the notion of a Chian family. I led a pure white stallion out and made a sacrifice, calling on the gods who live at ease on Mount Olympus to be witness to our oaths. Each king and suitor for the hand of Helen took his turn and stood barefoot in pooling blood and swore to back her choice and to defend the marriage. This said and done, Palamedes came up and spoke these bitter words. This pact will be our downfall. Helena should by rights be mine. She loves no other. Now you've opened up the way for Menelaos, who only hesitated up to now because he knew that war would come with any choice she made. Tyndareus favors him. He has a mighty brother, Agamemnon, whose army fills 100 ships. Now Sparta and Mycenae are united. You've sown the seeds of conquest and kept me from the one I love. Yet for the good of all, I'll hold my peace, and so will Helen. The pitfall maybe we have sidestepped is another, larger yet, still looming up ahead. But here take heed. Cross my purpose ever down the days. I'll kill you. Palamedes now joined his famous father, Nauplius, the navigator of the Argo, an old shipmate of brave Laertes. I knew from then that someday we would have our reckoning, but all that I could think of was to make Arnea mine. I went to King Tyndareus to bid him keep his word. His brother King Icarius resisted giving up his daughter to me, for his jealous heart demanded some competition like his brother held for Helen. Icarius declared that Penelope was to be the prize that princes run for in a race along the street the Spartans call a feta. Many claimed that they would be the one to win her hand, including dark Palamedes. The night before the race, I climbed her garden wall and spoke to her in whispers through her window. I never could believe that life could change by looking someone in the eyes, or that my feet could lose their grip on earth. The vast and glorious faraway is nothing to me now. The world has opened up right here at my caressing fingertips. With you, I want to hold you tight and close my eyes and soar. We share a single soul somehow. I know you feel the same, but please tell me you pray I'll win the race. I need to feel the tremble in your voice, excites in me down to the smallest part, and leaves me reaching like a child for his mother. Take me by the hand, Arnea dear, and tell me I'm the one you love. Arnea took my hand and placed it on her heart and spoke these words. I want your baby here in me. The gods, if they exist, should celebrate our love with victory. There is no need to ever pray again if you should lose, for nothing left in this sad world would merit having if I didn't have your love. Run fast, Odysseus. I'll be there for you at the finish line. The race was held at dawn. The sun shone down the street the Spartans call a feta, like a heart that rose out of the chest of God and dazzled every eye that gazed upon the finish line. I took no notice of the other runners, digging my toes in deep to make an instant start. The string was dropped and my spirit filled my legs. I ran as if a spear flew after me and sought my back. I ran as if I chased my pumping fists. The faster I ran, the faster they pumped, impossible to catch. And as the ribbon stretched across the finish line grew large, I felt a rumor at my elbow. It was Palamedes. I spoke and prayed and lunged and broke the ribbon with my chest and made him lose again. Arnea, Penelope, then became my wife. We wed the day that Menelaos took Helen as his wife and half the crown of Sparta from Tyndareus. That day Icarius lost both his girl and crown. To save his pride, he tried to force us stay with him there in his high-roofed house in Sparta. Mounted on my chariot, I turned to sweet Arnea, bidding her choose with whom she'd live, her father or her husband. She blushed and took her veil and turned her back on old Icarius, who watched us ride out of sight down to the sea in my black ship for Ithaca.